But the final shape, I guess we actually know somewhat what the final shape is. You've made a few videos about it. But the witness, I guess, my blunt understanding, he's an extreme perfectionist that wants to perfect the universe. And I'm not sure if this was, again, you can probably explain it better than me, but from what it sounds like, it seems to be like final shape is some kind of heat death of just wiping out all life in the universe and creating perfection because life is too imperfect. And can you explain like what exactly is the final shape and what is the witness's goal? Because we saw a bit about that in the cutscene.
A lot of those ideas are bound up inside the idea of the final shape, right? Like, in order for the final shape to happen, lots of those things need to be happening as part of the process, right? But the ultimate reality is that the witness has seen the good that the light can bring, you know, bringing life and bringing growth, whilst also seeing the good that the darkness can bring, which is imposing control over the chaos of the light. And this was their original objective as the predecessor species from the witness, you know, or before the witness rather, was to impose control on the chaos that the light created so that they could make a better universe. And they went as far as to state that this is our purpose as a people. This is why we exist, which is why the Traveler leaving them was such a huge deal, because essentially it looked at their quote-unquote final shape, this reality within which darkness and light can coexist in a manner that allows control over the fabric of the universe. The Traveler said no. And that's the thing that they've been hunting this entire time. Because again, the light brings chaos. It's this thing of all the different elements can lead to life and can lead to growth and can lead to expansion, can be linked to sorts of things like movement and the ability to understand the fabric of space itself. They're also destructive, you know. Solar not only is, I think it's the best example, but solar not only is one of those things of like, you know, the light of the sun bringing nourishment to plants, literal photosynthesis, but also it's fire. Yeah, it's the explosive heat that can come from something. It's literally burning something down. Yeah. And, you know, even as there's this thing of like, yes, but from ash, there's good nutrients that comes along and then things grow again stronger. It's still chaos, and it's still something that I think would need to be controlled. And clearly the witness agrees. And it's one of those moments at which you can start to see the bigger themes of Destiny rolling in around these characters and these ideas. But that's essentially the final shape. It is this vision of a perfect universe that is controlled. The final shape has only changed in the respect that all of the things that you named previously need to happen in order for this new order to play out, right? So for starters, they need to subjugate the Traveler, because ultimately it's not letting them get to this place where they're able to completely control the universe using both darkness and light. It's also that moment where you recognize that the witness is going to have to roll through everything that opposes it in order to do this, and is probably going to wipe the slate clean in the process, because this universe has been created on life that is built from light as well, and is not built within this image of its perfect control, where it's able to say, hey, there's no need for suffering here. One of the quotes the witness drops is actually something along the lines of, enough life, enough death. And it's one of these moments of like, you can kind of vaguely understand what's going on there. You know, it's this thing of sitting there and saying like, hey, everything in this universe has suffered, and it's suffered because of the way it exists. We need to close all of this out so that we can actually present something new in the universe which will be better. Which I think this is a really big, interesting argument, and where some people would most definitely have kind of different thoughts about it. And it's this. There is no guarantee the witness is right. Right? Like, they sit there and they see this potential idea, and they have this concept of like, hey, if we were just in control, it would be perfect. But theirs is a perspective, and they're, much as they are an entire species now, they are one part of the entire universe, and they are a single perspective, and they're potentially fallible.
So we know that they're right. Who's to say that they're more correct than the humans or Cabal or any other living race? Like, what makes the witness think they've got it so spot on that they can be like, this is the shape of the universe? But it just seems, I mean, I guess maybe its goal is to end life so it can start anew, but then would it like end life including itself, or would it just be the only thing that survived? Like, what is, it's all very very metaphysical and philosophical, but I guess we'll probably find out this kind of stuff. But
yeah, and if you really think about it, like, this is a Jurassic Park problem, right? Like,
in what sense?
You sit there. So Jurassic Park's entire theme is this idea: we're putting all the dinosaurs in a park. We're putting nature inside this construct, right? The Traveler is something that gives life, but it's also chaotic. And the darkness that is being used by the Witness is something that is trying to impose order on it. But the reality behind Jurassic Park is that when that happens, nature and the chaos of it breaks free anyway. You know, life finds a way, as everything said. And there is this, I don't think I've seen anyone talk about it here, but it hits me as this distinct possibility of what if the Traveler said no to the Witness and the predecessors purely because of this idea that if they did impose their order, somehow it would be 10 times worse than anything where the Traveler's chaos is running free. You know? Like, I don't think anyone's discussed that idea yet, but it's entirely possible that the Traveler is aware that primordial chaos only gets worse when you try to bottle that lightning. Because the lightning then is whirling around inside and is going to break free. And now you don't only just have lightning that has been building for however long, you also have the shards of glass as the entire attempt to contain it falls apart. So, in that sense, I wonder if that's kind of the monkey's paw behind everything that's going on. The Witness believes, perhaps, that it has this perfect control over everything, but it's impossible to actually reach that point without something worse happening. And maybe the Traveler knows that, you know? Like, it's a total shot in the dark as far as everything's going on. Call it crazy, spinfoil theory, but, you know, like, that's where it lands, I think.
Well, I disagree with, I for one disagree with the Witness's philosophies. I think imperfection is exactly what makes life worth living. Of course, life is chaos, but when you have life, you also have suffering. You can't have life without suffering. So you can't just, like, you know, he needs to read some philosophy books about, you know, striving for perfection is just a waste of time. There is no such thing as perfect. The imperfection is what makes things good. If things were perfect, then yeah, perfection just doesn't make sense. So yeah, I'll have a word with him about that. But after the final shape, what were you gonna say?
Yeah. As good old Sinan has once said, the pursuit of the perfection is more important than the perfection itself.
Yeah, I knew there was a better way of wording that. But yeah, there's pretty much a bunch of quotes that come to mind of just, you know, the strive to get the thing is better than the thing itself. But yeah, perfection is, I feel like everyone knows, like, by now, like, there's just thing that's perfect. Close to perfect is the best thing you can get. But after the final shape, we did see, interestingly, obviously everyone's always wondering what's going to happen after the Witness has done what it wants to do, or just after the final shape expansion in general. But Bungie devs, in an interview, you've probably seen it, talked a lot about the Vex, and pretty said quite obviously how we're going to hear more about the Vex after this chapter is done.